One of the hardest questions to answer in an interview is, what is your greatest weakness? It's also one of the more common questions you're going to get in any interview process. I've been in recruitment for 15 years. In today's video, I'm going to give you 5 great ways to answer this question. That way you can choose which one is the best fit for you. Now, why is this question common? It's common because everybody knows it. Every hiring manager, every recruiter, every HR person knows about this question. We've all been asked this question, and it's incredibly common. Also, there are a lot of people out there who interview people who are not good at interviewing, and they don't have a bunch of great questions to ask, so instead they default to this one. Now, truthfully, I don't love this question. I think there are better ways to get information from a candidate than asking this, and I feel like it's also a little bit of a trap question. But with the right strategy, you're going to do great answering this question. Now, what makes this question hard is because you need to straddle the line between saying something that doesn't make you look terrible, but also being authentic, right? If you say something like, what's your greatest weakness? And your greatest weakness is arson, that's a problem. But if they ask you, hey, what's your greatest weakness? And you say, well, my greatest weakness is I just care too much, also a problem. So you have to say something that doesn't make you look like a potential liability as an employee, but you also can't say anything that is just obviously not real and authentic. You have to find that middle ground with a legitimate weakness that you are working on that can be overcome, that doesn't make you look like a bad candidate. And that's why it's hard. Now, the first answer I really like for this one is I have a tendency to focus too much on the details. This is a good answer, right? Because it's not saying, I work too hard. It's not saying, I just have a drive to win and it's too intense. It's saying, look, I tend to really get bogged down in the details. The details matter to me. And the reality is sometimes you need to be able to move quickly, and good enough needs to be good enough. So this is a good enough answer in which hiring managers won't push back here. You can say something along the lines of, I would say my greatest weakness is that I have a tendency to focus too much on the details. I'm one of those people where, for me, all the details matter, and I want everything to be perfect. But I understand that on a day-to-day basis, you might not have the luxury of spending all that time to make sure every detail is perfect for everything that you're working on. So I've been working on this personally. I've been trying to understand timelines, understand the importance of it, and making sure that I control everything I can, making sure a document is as good as humanly possible, but within an acceptable time frame. And I can't allow my tendency to get overly focused on the details from keeping me from moving on to the next thing. Something like that. That's a good way to answer it. It doesn't come off as fake. Good answer. Another answer I really like is I have a hard time letting go of projects. This is actually a very real thing for people who are elevating in their career. When you go from being an individual contributor to a manager, for example, there are tasks you used to do that you are going to need to delegate and elevate, right? You need to hand things off so you can do higher level things, or you can do different strategic work. So I think this is one of those things where if you're moving into a manager role or you're moving into a senior role, this can be a very great answer to use. You can say, I would say my greatest weakness is probably I have a hard time letting go of projects. As I continue to grow in my career, I know there are certain things I'm going to need to hand off to others so that I can do more strategic work. But truthfully, I still struggle with this because I care so deeply about the things that I was once attached to. And I want to make sure that they're good. But again, I know that I won't have the luxury of doing that. So it's something that I'm actively working on, but I have noticed in my roles that I'm doing today, I still have a tendency to want to own things when I should feel more comfortable handing them off. That right there is a great answer. If you say it like that, you're going to crush it. Another really good answer is I could use more experience with blank. Now, you want to make sure that blank isn't something mission critical to the role that you're applying for. But, that could be PowerPoint or an analytics tool. It's like one of those things where you just say, I would say my greatest weakness is right now, I could probably use more experience with PowerPoint. Recently, I've been doing more presentations, and I really enjoy them. But I would say my expertise level is pretty middle of the road when it comes to PowerPoint. And I understand that if I was to become more fluent in that program, I could be more effective when it comes to giving speeches, giving presentations, articulating my points via visual. So it's something that I'm actively working on. I've been, over the weekend, watching YouTube videos and learning how to up-level my abilities in PowerPoint, but it's still a bit of a work in progress. Right there is a good answer. It's authentic. It doesn't make you look like a bad employee, but it's a very real thing that you are clearly working on. This is a pretty classic answer, and it's I have trouble asking for help. The whole point of saying I have trouble asking for help when someone asks you what your greatest weakness is you want to let them know that you just have a desire to do things right, but not to be dependent on others. You want to be one of those people who doesn't need their hand held. And when you're set to go ahead and execute your work, you don't want to be that person who's always tapping your boss on the shoulder, saying, hey, can you show me how to do this? Can you show me how to do this? Can you help me with this? You don't want to be that person, right? You want to be self-sufficient. But the point here is that sometimes, especially as you grow and you're taking on new things, you need to recognize that the shortest path to success is getting insight from somebody who is familiar with whatever it is you are struggling with. And there's a balance to be had there. And I think when you answer this question using this, it's just important to articulate that you understand there's a balance you need to find. But it's not always easy for you because you do feel pride in your work and you feel ownership of the things you're working on and you want to be able to do them yourself. So, I would say package that up into an answer that sounds authentic to you, and that'll be a great way to answer this question. Another really good answer is, in the past, I have been uncomfortable with ambiguity. What I like about this is a lot of people are uncomfortable with ambiguity, right? A lot of people really want clear directions on how to succeed in their job. They want to be told what to do, when to do it. You're not always going to get that in corporate America or in any job, really. In a lot of jobs, you're going to have to figure some things out. But for someone, this could be a legitimate weakness. What I also like about saying in the past I have been uncomfortable with ambiguity is you're alluding to the fact that it has been something that has held you back, but you are making progress. So when you give this answer, you want to start off by that, by saying that you want to highlight why it's an issue, right? You can say, and the reality is in the roles I've had in my career, there's always been an element of ambiguity, and being effective and comfortable in those periods of time where I'm experiencing ambiguity would allow me to be more successful. So what I need to do is understand that I won't always have clear direction for everything that I do, and I need to find a way to be comfortable and effective in there. What I've been doing to do that is blank, and then you want to talk about how you're working to remedy this. In every single one of these answers, you want to be talking about how you're moving past it, how you're working on it, or how you're remedying this shortcoming. That's a key to answering this question. Now, learning how to answer this question in a strong and confident way is going to help you be a better interviewer. But if you really want to become a great interviewer, one of the things you can do is learn how to master storytelling in an interview setting. In fact, I think it's so important that I made this video about it. So I'm done here, but you should definitely go watch that video.